Social media did not always exist as we know it today. In fact, the first trace of the concept dates back to as early as 1792 to the use of the telegram to transmit and receive messages across large distances. However, it seems that social media began to truly materialize in the 1800s to French and German sociologists Emile Durkheim and Ferdinand Tönnies, who believed in the existence of social groups founded on the shared experiences of its constituents. This theory became especially pertinent with the development of the radio and telephone during the same time period. Hence, it is evident that social media is not a new concept. The 1960s, however, was when social media attained its trajectory to become what it is today with the advent of emails. Furthermore, in the early 2000s, an unprecedented amount of social networking sites were conceived. Once it entered the digital realm, owing to constant innovation, its rise to relevance was inevitable. Ultimately, the social media that has emerged as a result of this process today holds major societal, ethical and economic ramifications that transcend merely the number of likes or shares on a post.
Social media have surely revolutionized our way of living, but at what expense? As a society, we became so dependent on our social profile that we just click anything that appears without considering the consequences of that action. And this is because those beyond this wave of apps and software are particularly skilled in disguising their intention. Hence, this raises several ethical dilemmas as to how we went from an app, namely Facebook, that could connect some college students to the same app influencing presidential elections and causing catastrophic outcomes. Originally, social media was a tool to connect, share interests, arrange meetings. Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg himself once said, and I quote, "The thing that we're trying to do at Facebook is just helping people to connect and communicate more efficiently." And sure, it has also always been a platform where your business could attract consumers and sell products and services. However, this replacement of face-to-face relationship caused a constraint to the credibility of people. Unfortunately, as we will see, this concept has evolved in the history of social media, and despite it has often been discussed in political arenas during the past years, the damage has already been done. In fact, the quick spread of social media to virtually every corner around the world make this a powerful tool to share personal information, but also to share any kind of information at all available to us at any time, anywhere, and that often serves truly immoral and dangerous causes. I remember a very funny episode of a journalist asking a Trump supporter if she believed that President Barack Obama was born in the States or not, and she answered that she knew as a fact that he wasn't, because she had seen it several times on both Facebook and tweet. This shows how people share information on social media with no background check, hence defying ethics codes and operating with very low moral. This can surely be seen as an advancement of the availability of internet around the world and the advancement of democracy, as people feel entitled to say whatever they think, and therefore founding platforms used to connect people a place spread such information no matter if they're telling the truth. Moreover, with time and with the implementation of marketplaces and ads in social media, we began to experience the phenomena of spamming. People are eager to sell something and we are forced to see their products. And this raises a set of normative ethics questions such as, will this serve my purpose but hurt others? Will my content be offensive to others? If so, should I go for it anyway because it's gonna boost my sales? Or should I just hold back? Social media went from organizing study groups to organizing revolutions such as the 2011 Arab Spring. It went from sharing photos of one's work to sharing pornographic materials via sexting. It went from inspiring people to be better to inspiring people to suicide via the Blue Whale website. And who could have ever imagined in the 21st century that presidential elections would be influenced and decided with fake accounts and social media marketing? I mean, before maybe trained spies and state secrets would influence such elections, but surely not a college kid with a Facebook account in St. Petersburg. Yes, both are morally wrong, but social media allowed evil intentions to shift from a relatively small group of people to whoever wants to do harm these days. Perhaps we were not able to contain and regulate the growth of such platforms, hence why we find ourselves dealing with so many ethical dilemmas these days.
The relatively new concept of social media has had a profound effect on businesses across the globe. As of 2018, there are 3 billion active social media users, just less than half of the world's population. Consequently, it has become a new, widespread medium for companies to reach their consumers and market their products. As innovation and social media companies have evolved, so too has the marketing and various business strategies of the majority of companies. Businesses today can use social media to create a unique brand for themselves at a much cheaper cost than the expensive advertising campaigns of the past. In this sense, social media has leveled the playing field, making it possible for small startups to flourish like never before. The universal ownership of social media sites throughout the developed world provides a simple way to increase a company's brand recognition. Social media platforms also create a necessary dialogue between the consumer and the business that can be used to direct further business decisions. The networking available on certain social media sites offers a form of immediate feedback for the company, which in the past may not have been possible. In this sense, the line between business marketing and customer service has been blurred, resulting in the mix of both on each social media platform. In the current day, the most extreme example of social media and business intertwining is that many people can live off salaries paid by a company for a simple one-time picture plug of their product. However, social media wasn't always this way. The social media we recognize today emerged in the early 2000s with companies that have left the spotlight like MySpace, but also with the massive social media conglomerate Facebook. That being said, Facebook's origins were quite unrecognizable to the current day configuration. It was created with human-to-human interaction and communication in mind, and it stayed that way until around 2008, when business started to ramp up. Businesses, always looking for a way to increase profits, were not blind to the possible benefits of this mass iteration of social media, and they started to invest significantly to make their footprint larger within those communities. Since that realization, businesses have become a staple on the majority of social media platforms, as they oftentimes are the provider of revenue for the social media companies themselves. Many businesses use their social media campaigns to target specific groups, most usually young people, who are more likely to be on the platforms for an extended period of time. Data from the International Data Corporation estimated that 80% of people check their social media or phones before they brush their teeth in the morning. Due to this and similar phenomena, social media platforms have become the most effective way for businesses to reach their consumers within their own homes. Along with that, as innovation continues and the capabilities of large companies expand, advertisements have become individualized to each user based on their past preferences, essentially turning social media platforms into a personalized catalog of advertisements that would specifically interest the customer at hand. However, this explosion of business participation on social media is not unique due to the fact that it has happened across all forms of the internet. That being said, the social media sphere has proved the most personal and most direct interaction between companies and the consumers, something which 20 years ago would have been completely unfeasible.
We all know how social media has fundamentally transformed society, revolutionizing the way in which we share, consume, and interact with media and information. For instance, previously, it would have been virtually impossible for a layman to interact with the leader of the free world. Instead, jokes aside, what is often considered by many as a luxury is shaping out to be a grave threat not only to democratic institutions, but also as a threat to individual privacy and security. It is estimated that individuals spend an average of 3 hours every day on social media. Never before in human history has technology had the ability to connect over half the world's population on a single platform. One of the reasons for social media's unprecedented success is arguably its algorithm, which essentially connects people of similar interests and political inclinations. What often emerge are echo chambers through which individuals merely reiterate views with which they agree with. This creates a fatal flaw within democratic institutions that fundamentally rely on a public well-versed in local politics to make educated decisions. Instead, there now exists a public that largely merely recognizes its own individual politics. Moreover, the Brexit campaign exposed what is known as political astroturfing. Essentially, it is a means to spread disinformation by individuals that pretend to be ordinary citizens. However, what appears to be grassroots support for a political movement is instead a facade to garner more votes. Cambridge Analytica's ability to curate political advertisements and such to individual tastes makes this far more dangerous. Perhaps it is safe to say that without social media, the outcome of the Brexit vote, for instance, would have been far different. Finally emerges the threat of social media as a tool to attain more invasive surveillance epitomized by the Chinese government. In China, virtually every online interaction is monitored by the government, eventually adding up to form an individual's social credit score. Those who talk negatively about the regime, for instance, are flagged and are at risk of facing the consequences of the regime. For every popular social media, there exists a Chinese alternative so that the government can have unrestricted access to individual data. Hence, what is ultimately considered a luxury by many is in fact proving to be detrimental to society all over the world. While information and news is certainly more readily available, the increasing ability for social media to manipulate individuals suggests that as it has developed, it has only become more dangerous.
In conclusion, social media has revolutionized the world's economy and human interaction, resulting in massive societal, ethical, and business-related change. The incredible exponential growth of these social media platforms has outpaced all legislation and all past human expectation. As a result, misinformation often runs rampant on social media with little to no restrictions. With social media and the internet, the world is more connected than ever, and there are some clear advantages, especially for the globalized economy and small businesses. However, the current day manifestation of social media has resulted in many detrimental effects to society, as businesses and political movements often plague the sites. As we can see today, the evolution of social media has had a profound effect on human interaction and the business world that will likely remain unchanged for the years to come.